Hello everyone, welcome back to Canton Insiders series. Last time we talked about what Canton Network is, why it actually matters, and why institutions are choosing it to move forward and move their money on chain. And today we are going to continue in this direction as well and talk more about business side and economic side of the Canton Network. I'm here today Tim Soens. Tim Soens is a business analyst at Catalyst Blockchain Manager and IntellectEU. Tim has joined us quite recently, but he's already deep into the Canton network. And he's one of the guys who get the big picture first. DTCC, NASDAQ, they're moving $1 trillion to the chain, and that actually means something. So there is an institutional shift happening on the Canton network, and Tim is well aware of it. So happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
As I mentioned, Tim is quite new in the Canton world and the ecosystem, and I'm just wondering, Tim, how did you discover it and how you did get interested in it?
Yes, so initially when I was studying, around the period between like 2018, 2020, I did a couple of different internships at IntellectEU. And back then they were already building institutional grade enterprise private DL2 solutions on networks like Hyperledger and Corda. And that's where I first heard about DAML, the smart contract language, uh, and kind of came into contact with those kind of DLT solutions. And after I finished my internship and went on to do my master's, I continued to kind of keep up with what Intellect was doing and spotted over the years that they were heavily involved in the Canton Network and that they were a founding member of the Canton Foundation. So that's when I decided to do a little bit of research and was intrigued, what the Canton Network was, and was very attracted to the approach that they took to privacy, and especially how that like resonated with the institutions that they were working with. They were some of the major institutions that we hadn't seen involved in crypto or in blockchain. And to me, it kind of clicked at that moment, realizing like this approach to privacy might be like the key enabler to bringing institutional regulated finance on chain. And that's when I contacted IntellectEU, see if there were open positions to contribute to their Canton Network focused applications like Catalyst, Blockchain Manager, and Package Manager, um, which I'm working on now. So very excited to be in the ecosystem and contribute to the growth of the Canton Network with Catalyst.
Yeah, very excited to have you on the team as well. And I'm working with you from time to time, and I mentioned that you're doing a lot of researches on the Canton economics, on the Canton Coin, on the fee structure. Maybe let's start with this and actually dive deeper into the economics. Can you tell me a bit how the Canton Coin is working? What is the utility behind it? And how
Mhm.
can validators and app builders actually make some money on the Canton network?
Yeah, so the Canton Network has quite a unique like tokenomics model. So the network uses a fully permissionless utility token called Canton Coin, used for transacting on the network and for rewarding real contributions. And so it uses a kind of burn mint equilibrium model designed to align the token issuance with real network utility and usage. So basically, the way it works is when users consume network services or when they transact on the network, they pay transaction fees, which are denominated in USD but settled in Canton Coin.
Mhm.
And instead of paying the transaction fees to infrastructure operators, they are permanently burned and removed from circulation. So on the other side of that, um, in return for providing value or utility to the network, participants can mint new Canton coins subject to certain protocol-defined rules, recorded network activity, and like governance-approved parameters. And so these participants who can mint these Canton Coin are super validators and validators, like similar to other public networks, but also application providers. So burning is like subject to adoption and usage and how many transactions are happening, and minting is determined by a like predefined minting curve. So the intent of the model is that the Canton total supply adjusts with real network demand, which helps align the Canton coin conversion rate with the utility provided to the network. And so the idea is that the equilibrium target in coins burned and minted per year over time is approximately 2.5 billion coins. So like if you take a couple of scenarios, imagine there's so much network usage where the burned amount coming from transaction fees is greater than the minted amount coming from the minting curve, then that would mean that the total supply decreases, which means that the conversion rate, Canton price, would increase, meaning that subsequently the burn decreases afterwards, eventually going back to that equilibrium of 2.5 coins per year. If you go to another scenario where there's not a lot of network traffic or usage, then the minted Canton coin will be greater than the burned, which will mean that the total supply increases, meaning Canton coin conversion rate decreases, and all subsequently from that, the burn should increase since the transaction fees are denominated in USD. And once again, in this scenario, the equilibrium should kind of gravitate towards 2.5 billion coins per year burned and minted. So that's basically the intent of that like tokenomics model, whereas total supply adjusts with the network demand. And maybe something else, another crucial aspect which differentiates like Canton tokenomics
Hmm?
is like I mentioned the parties who mint these rewards. Usually it's the infrastructure operators, the stakers who secure and run the network, but the builders and the users are kind of left in the dark, even though they like drive the utility of the network. And so currently, actually 62% of the rewards or of the possible minted Canton coins will be issued to applications deployed on Canton. So that's quite a incentive model to increase the amount of applications and utility on the network. So I think those are the key differences compared to other networks.
Yeah, got it. And I saw about the chunk of rewards increased to the app developers recently. So that means that the chain actually values the activity on it. Yeah, and since you mentioned the comparison to other networks, maybe you can give a quick view on what the adoption for the Canton network looks like. Maybe you have some numbers to show compared to other chains.
Mhm.
Like at which state are we right now?
So in terms of validators, there are currently around 665 is the latest that I've heard. Validators, where 39 are super validators. If you compare that to Solana, for example, I think we're in a similar range. I think they also have somewhere around 800, 900 validators. In terms of adoption, like the numbers are quite impressive. The Canton network has processed historically more than 6 trillion in real world assets and currently handle around 350 billion USD in U.S. Treasury activity through the the Broadridge platform, I think. And especially like since Q3, Q4 of 2025, the network has really grown exponentially. Um, the, I think the daily transactions the past week were around 600, 700 daily. And then active users, I would say also around 30,000. Um, this amounts to like average daily burn of around 11 million tokens, which is about between like 1 million and 1.5 million in fees, which is quite a lot. Like in comparison to Solana, I think like last week they averaged around 900K ish in daily revenue. Um, Yet it trades at an FTV like 10, 20 times higher than Canton. So given the demand we're seeing at Intellect and the constant incoming announcements from major institutions onboarding to Canton, we're expecting this massive growth to continue in 2026.
Cool numbers. So it actually Canton really gets some traction. Even me, I started this year from this year was full of announcement of big players joining Canton Network, like from January 3rd, and continuing to nowadays. Almost each day, some big news from the network.
Mhm.
Love seeing it growing. Love to see where it goes. And yeah, maybe to wrap it up, very interesting insights. But if someone is just listening to us and is impressed by numbers and thinking, okay, I want to build on the Canton and be the part of the ecosystem, what should they be thinking about, or what should they considering before joining it?
If you're asking why should you
Yeah.
build on Canton, I would say because building an app on Canton is continuously rewarded with Canton Coin. As I mentioned, 62% of the total rewards pool goes to featured applications, so it's directly aligned with the activity and the utility you generate. So I think that, you know, represents a massive opportunity to participate and be early in a new kind of open financial infrastructure where the largest institutions are operating on, and where you have an early mover advantage still. And yeah, I think the right timing is now. You've definitely got a major, massive opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. I do agree with your words. And if you're thinking about getting some help on joining the Canton Network, feel free to get in touch with IntellectEU and Catalyst Blockchain Manager teams. That's Tim Soens on the business opportunity and economics and some numbers behind the Canton ecosystem. Thank you, team. It was a pleasure to have you here. And everyone, stay tuned for new Canton Insiders series.
Likewise, thanks for having me.